Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of playing Andromeda 6, a sci-fi Otome game where you wake up with no memories on a spaceship. And so far we've met the captain, Calderon, Bash, June, Damon, Ayame, and Ryota. So we haven't met, I forgot his name. If you haven't watched the last 2 parts, I recommend it, but I don't think anything really important happened. So you can just join us or join me. Let's see what happened. Right, so we finally met the captain. He was the last person we've met. And we had like a altercation, not really, confrontation? Anyways, he was just in a really bad mood. So, let's start. I'm still reeling after this confrontation, but there isn't any point in prolonging the argument. It's clear this man is as stubborn as a mule. Fine. Good. Great. We pause for a moment and stare at each other. And when he grins, there's something about it that catches me off guard and has me struggling to right myself. Good to see you have some common sense after all. I'm walking away now. Wait. What did you say your name was? I didn't, but it's 11. He gives me a strange look, eyebrow quirked, and then he shakes his head as if deciding he doesn't care after all. Well, whoever you are, we'll be dropping you off in Terranium once we get there. I suggest you come up with a plan before then. The streets of Nos Vega are not kind to the unprepared. So this dude is just gonna drop me off on some planet when I don't even know who I am. Yeah, so far, all we remember is our name. Until then, unless you can do something useful, which I highly doubt, stay out of the way. He turns to leave the room, but not before giving me another once-over, sizing me up. I stand there dumbly as I watch the captain leave the bridge, the sound of his heavy-set footsteps disappearing beneath the hiss of the closing door. Sorry about him, it isn't personal if it helps. You don't need to apologize, it's okay, it felt personal. You don't need to apologize, it's that dude's problem. I glare towards the door that Calderon has just disappeared through, his words still rubbing in all the wrong places. You're not the one who should be apologizing. Huh, you sound just like him. In an instant, my dark glower snaps from the door to Ayame. Being compared to the captain is certainly not something I appreciate. I'm sorry, but trust me on this. Calderon is complicated, but he's a good guy deep down. Very deep down. There's nothing complicated about being civil or having basic manners, or both. Come on, I saw you talking to Damon before Calderon came around. He's not exactly Lord of Niceville either. That's true. They were both kind of, you know. Yeah, but at least he didn't call me useless. Oh. She sighs as she tugs on a thin braid hanging by her shoulder and blows out of breath. Well, we're all a little cuckoo around here. Try not to let it get to you. Like I said, it's nothing personal. Besides, I can teach you a thing or two, like how to tell them both to take a hike. In a more colorful language, of course. She laughs and the sound is infectious. Soon enough, I'm smiling with her, and it's a relief to know that this ship is not entirely filled with douchebags. A thought suddenly crosses my mind that perhaps Ayame and Calderon are more than just crewmates or friends. They would certainly make an odd pair, but they do seem pretty close. Though the last thing I want is to pry. When it comes down to it, it's really none of my business. What's on your mind? I can hear the cogs turning from here. If you want to ask me something, go ahead, I won't bite. Unless you want me to. Ask her, don't ask her. Does it even make a difference? I still don't know whose route I'm gonna try. I'll ask her. It's nothing really. I was just wondering, I mean, You and the captain seem close. Are you two... My voice trails off at the expression on her face, one that shifts from careless confidence into something of utter disbelief. You want to know if we're a thing? A laugh escapes her, one that I would dare say borders on hysterical. I watch as she runs a hand through her hair, drawing my attention to the gear attached to the side of her head. It looked like advanced tech, but what really catches my eye are the thin gills on the sides of her neck, moving ever so slightly with each breath she takes. She's Katofin. The feeling of familiarity makes me smile. It's nice to know we have something else in common. Alright, in this game, when you start, you can choose between 3 races. Human, Teleri, and Katofin. And I chose Katofin. We're definitely not a couple. Never. Ew, gross. She makes a gagging sound before snorting with laughter once again. He's more like a lame older brother. We were in Orsana's guard together, and we've looked out for each other for as long as I can remember. Oh, that makes a lot more sense actually. I feel a little foolish at having thought otherwise. Hang on, you really asked me if I'm single before we've even properly been introduced? And I thought I was the bold one. Her grin widens and I open my mouth to protest, only to realize that there's no argument. I did ask her relationship status before introducing myself. This is awkward. My name's Ayame, though I'm sure you've already guessed that by the way Cal was shouting it at me earlier. But please, call me Aya? Aya, yeah. Ayame just sounds so Calderon, don't you think? I didn't mean to be rude. I asked the important questions first. I'll go with the Aya. Words fail me as my face goes hot, and I still can't believe that I did that. I'd hate to know what she's thinking of me right now. I must seem like the rudest person alive. In an attempt to stutter out an apology, I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. Aya grins smugly as she steps forward and pokes me on the shoulder. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? A small smile finds its way on my lips, and I shrug as I finally find my voice. Maybe I'm a cat person, eh? If only I could remember. If only, because I'm a total wildcat myself. Especially at night. She winks at me and I choke on air, my cheeks positively scorching at this point. You, my friend, are much too fun to tease. And I already know that I like you, so I might get used to that if you're not careful. Oh, shoot. I didn't start my 30-minute timer. I have to do a 30-minute timer because if I don't, I just keep playing it. My playthrough of another game was like 3 hours long. Okay, I started my timer. Sorry. And I already know that I like you, so I might get used to that if you're not careful. I swallow around the lump in my throat as her violet eyes hold me in place, but something about her playfulness makes me smile. Used to teasing me or to liking me? Both. Gods, it's been ages since we've had any fun around here. I know the circumstances are less than optimal, but I'm glad you ended up with us, 11. I return the smile she gives me, but thinking about that, however, brings back the memory of Calderon and its ultimatum, and it quickly fades. I hardly know the people on the ship, but somehow the thought of being alone out there in the world, not knowing where I came from, is nothing short of terrifying. Yeah, that would be pretty terrifying. Hey, what killed your mood? June filled us all in on what's happening with you. I'm sorry, by the way. Did you just remember something? I wish. No, I'm just not sure how much longer I'll be here. Why's that? You've got some place to go? No, not particularly. The captain made it pretty clear that I'll be on my own once we get to Terranium. Aya's eyebrows shoot up as she stares at me, a mixture of shock and anger twisting her features. What the? He said he's dropping you off in Terranium? Terranium? Yes, it's your next stop, isn't it? It is, but do you know anyone in Terranium? Got any place to go? Any plans? I shake my head over and over in answer to her questions. My past is still very much a blur, and these people are the only ones I remember knowing. With an exasperated huff, Aya throws her hands in the air, pacing the floor in front of me. Is he out of his freaking mind? No, he must have completely lost it now. It's okay, Aya, I can take care of myself. I'll ask around and get a job or something to keep me going while I try to get my life in order. I try to reassure her, because the last thing I want is to cause trouble for one of the few people who have been so kind to me. This crew has already saved my life. It doesn't seem right to ask for any more from them than that. Aya stops pacing, pulling her bottom lip between her teeth as she turns to me. It's not fine. A job in Terranium? Fending for yourself in that place when you don't even know your last name? She puts a hand on my shoulder and looks me dead in the eye. At once I begin to understand a little of how she manages to keep a pair like Damon and Calderon in check. Look, don't worry about it. I'm not going to let that dumbass leave you stranded in. She stops at the sound of the opening door, and the sight of the figure who steps onto the bridge with us. 11, what are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to get some rest? I'm startled by the hardness of Riona's tone, turning to find the medic staring at me with her hands on her hips and foot tapping expectantly. What's all the fuss about? Sorry, we were talking, and then I find out some dumbass is thinking of doing something even dumber. I lost my cool, right? Riona's expression softens as her gaze settles on Aya. Then you go and deal with it, Aya, but please, don't drag 11 along with you. She needs to rest, and if she has any hope of recovering her memories. You'd better do what Riona says. You don't want to see her when she's mad. Ayame smiles at me sheepishly, giving my arm a quick, affectionate squeeze before she heads towards the door. Aye aye, Doc. I'm on it. Her footsteps fade as she leaves, and when Riona turns to me, I brace myself. You should be resting, 11. Come on, I'll show you to your room. Her smile is soft, but the firmness of her voice makes it clear that I don't have a choice in the matter, answering only with a smile of my own. I follow her from the bridge. By the way, I flip-flop with pronunciations because I don't know how they're supposed to be pronounced. Riona safely delivers me to my room with a promise to check in on me later, and I promptly fall down onto the bed with a sigh. My body is still aching enough to be a bother, and the time I've spent trapezing around the ship hasn't done me any favors. I didn't notice it so much at the time, but now that I'm here, resting doesn't sound half bad. Time passes, and after what feels like hours lying in bed, tossing and turning as I attempt to get some sleep, I eventually give up. I sit on the side of the bed and sigh, my mind stuck in an endless, exhausting loop. The harder I try to think about my past, the harder my brain seems to rebel against me. Nothing feels right. Nothing at all. And on top of all that, I need to come up with a plan for when we get to Terranium. I don't remember much of the Junker planet, but I know it sure as hell is not the kind of place you want to wind up alone. Gambling dens, arenas, bars, strip clubs. What exactly am I supposed to do in a place like that? Girl strip! They have strip clubs. Just, get those dollar bills. I'm startled by a knock on the door, and with a sigh I push myself to my feet and cross the room to answer it. When I hit the panel to open the door, I find myself face to face with... I don't know. I haven't chosen who I want to pursue. I love them all so much. June and Bash have strong golden retriever energy. Damon is the edgy dude. There's gonna be one more edgy dude, the last red hair guy. And I love redheads. So I chose him for my first time playing this game. But I don't want to play him again, so... and Calderon, I like him a lot more later on. I haven't played Ayame and Riona, because, I don't know, I don't really pursue females? Women? What's the proper term in Otome games? I think I'm going Calderon. My heart is saying Calderon, so... Oh, it's you. Calderon stands awkwardly in the corridor, and when he raises an eyebrow at my greeting, I get the impression he wishes he was anywhere else. I suppose I deserve that. I give him a look that says I agree, but I say nothing as all the annoyance from our earlier conversation floods through me once more. Calderon rubs the back of his neck and clears his throat, and it's the first time I've seen him do something that doesn't exude obnoxious male energy. I'm sorry about earlier. Do you mind if I come in for a minute? I pretend to consider it for a good long moment, making him wait in the corridor. Eventually, I step aside and give him space to enter the room, letting the door slide shut behind him. He walks ahead of me, so tall that the room seems comically small in comparison. I forgot we had this room. I told June to shove you in the cargo hole. But he brought you on board, but lucky for you, he never listens to me. I also love June's route too. He's such a sweetie. I stare at him disapprovingly. Also, the cargo hold had a huge hole. That was one of the things. Anyways, choosing to ignore that particular jab. If he's come to apologize, he's doing a rather shitty job of it. So, which one of them put you up to this? I don't bother to hide the venom that laces my words. He was an absolute douchebag on the bridge earlier, and I think he's beginning to realize it. Are you assuming I didn't come here because I wanted to? I give him a pointed stare, and his jaw flexes stubbornly before he breaks. Fine, it was Ayami, if you must know. I knew it! Alright, smartass, you want a medal? I laugh at him, and it catches me off guard. That as obnoxious as Calderon is, he manages to make me forget about. Oh my goodness, sorry. He manages to make me forget all about the situation I'm in, if only for a few moments. I don't miss the way his lips tilt, how his shoulders loosen, and when he turns to me again, I swear his eyes are softer. Believe it or not, I actually did want to see you, and to ask how you're feeling. The sudden change in him is surprising. I would have thought he couldn't care less about me, but either Aya has somehow worked some kind of magic on him, or he's not as mean as I had thought. I drop down onto the edge of the bed and fold my arms across my chest. Despite everything, I can't help but to keep my guard up around him. I know I've far surpassed my use of the sentence, but really, I don't know. I know how I should feel, lost, alone, terrified, but it doesn't feel so much like my memories have vanished. It's like they're still there somewhere and I just can't get to them. Calderon looks at me in a way I've never seen before, as if he perhaps understands how I'm feeling, but how could he? I have something that might help. He digs into his pocket and pulls out a small spherical object. With his palm facing up, he extends it towards me. Towards me. What is it? Don't you know? I shake my head as I reach for the object, feeling the cold touch of metal against my fingertips. You had this on you when June brought you in here. You know what, now I feel like I want to go to June's route. Because he's honestly the person who saved me, like, he's so nice. Maybe I just like mean people, I don't know. I thought you might recognize it, or that it might help you remember. I examined the object in my hand, running a finger across the intricate filigree, and the blue jewels set in the metal. It's small enough to hold in the palm of my hand, and it feels as though it has some weight to it. But there's something else. Something special. I think there's something inside, but it beats me how to open the thing. Aya and Bash took a look at it, but even they couldn't figure it out. All we know is that the metal is catalphenite. It was hard enough to get a hold of even before the planet exploded. Now it's about as rare as the substance can get. It's expensive. Whoever you are, well, not just anyone would own a trinket like this. That thing is worth enough to pay for this ship 10 times over. Damn! That's crazy. I'm only partly listening to Calderon now, mesmerized instead by the small sphere in my hand. There's a kind of power about it, some low, thrumming energy that runs over my skin, desperate for release. Everything about it feels familiar. It feels like a secret. As if guided by some distant memory, I close my palm over the sphere, squeezing once before releasing it slowly. The first few notes of a tune tinkle from the sphere as it opens, and my eyes snap to Calderon's, his face just as dumbfounded as my own. It's a music box. The eyes of the sphere is an intricate maze of moving cogs and soft blue lights. My eyes are mesmerized by the movement as it plays its slow, sad lullaby. The tinkling notes of the song echo through the room, each as hauntingly familiar as the last. It's almost cruel how it caresses the edges of my memories, taunting me to remember faces and names that are no longer there. My heart fills with hopelessness. My teeth clench tight in frustration, and it's only when I feel a tear slip over my lips that I realize I'm crying. But why am I crying? The music box hasn't triggered any memories in me, only a feeling, a sadness and longing so strong it makes my heart ache. The melody ends, and for a long time after, neither of us say a word. Eventually, Calderon breaks the silence, his voice barely more than a whisper. Do you remember anything? I blink a couple of times to clear the tears from my eyes and focus instead on the man in front of me. He holds my gaze, and it's the first time I've seen any warmth in his eyes. I swallow around the lump in my throat, and though it pains me, I'm forced to shake my head. No, nothing, or I felt something? I mean, technically his question was, do you remember anything? I don't know. I just do know nothing. No, there's nothing. The words slip from my lips with such a finality that it scares me. I don't want to seem so fragile, especially in front of Calderon, but there's nothing I can do to change that now. I'm afraid that I'll never remember, that I'll live my life grazing the edges of what it once was, but never actually knowing. I close the music box abruptly, and it pulses in my hand, its sad, sweet melody still echoing through me. And this stupid thing, it doesn't help at all. I raise my hand. Dang, I didn't know this decision made me so dramatic. I raise my hand to throw the music box, to smash it into 1,000 pieces against the wall so it will never taunt me again. But before I can let it go, Calderon grabs my arm and gently lowers it, his hand warm where it covers mine. Don't do that. Don't do something you'll regret. The mind is a complicated thing. It suppresses memories it doesn't want to remember, and holds tight to the ones it does. Even then, they grow hazy with time. Are you sure you want to remember? My eyes snap to his, and his eyes are so piercing, so full of strength and assurance that it's hard to look away. What do you mean? Have you considered that maybe whatever your mind is holding back from you is for your own good? No, I don't understand why it would, not when I've been trying so hard to remember. Think about it. What if what happened in your past was so upsetting you simply don't want to remember? There must be something worth remembering. There has to be. I hope so, Levin. He gives me a sad smile and drops his hand from mine. I immediately wish he hadn't. I'd better get going. Rihanna would kill us both if she thought you were doing anything other than resting. My mouth drops at the insinuation. Before I can think of anything smart to say in return, he chuckles. Get some sleep. The sooner you can get rid of me, the better, right? I may have been a little hasty with the matter. Just get some sleep and we'll discuss the rest later. That's an order, by the way. Sorry, I just had to pause, cause... Oh. Alright, good night, Captain. Good night, Stowaway. I don't think I've ever chosen Calderon for this scene, and it just... okay. Calderon leaves with a small smile, and with a heavy sigh, I drop down on my bed and hold the music box above me. The metal glints in the fluorescent light, and I vaguely recall hearing of Catalphanite before. It was found on the planet before it was destroyed, mined from deep below the watery surface in the ocean caves. That would explain its pearlescent shine. It really is a beautiful object. Why do you feel so familiar? 'Cause it's mine. Why wouldn't it? I speak out loud with no one around to hear me, and then I squint as something catches my eye within the intricate detailing. There's an engraving on it. NLP. What does it mean? Feeling the gentle lull of sleep begin to weigh on me, I decide the question can wait. Opening the music box once more, I set it beside me on the bed, watching the dance of the lights and gears as the tinkling melody soothes me. My eyes grow heavy, so heavy, and I'm pulled under the weight of my exhaustion. Wavering on the brink of dreams and reality, I hear it. A sweet, strong voice, familiar. So familiar. Be strong, 11. Be safe. You're a fighter. A survivor. The day where I have to leave you will come, sooner than we both know. Promise me you won't give up. Who are you? Why can't I remember you? Why does it feel like I miss you when I don't remember? I'm sorry, little one. I miss you too. Oh, that was quick. End of episode 1. Dang. Episode 2, Terranium.exe. The buzzing of the ship wakes me, giving way seconds later to the crackle of the intercom booming through my room. Rise and shine, people. Terranium is in our sights, and we're set to land in approximately 1 hour. Time to get your asses to your stations. Stretching my arms above my head, I let out a loud yawn, lazily blinking the sleep from my eyes. It had taken some getting used to, sleeping on a moving craft, and I could do with another hour or two of rest. Though rather than risk the captain's wrath, and probably Aya's too, I pushed myself out of bed, shivering as the cold metal floor touches my bare feet, and head to the adjoining bathroom to wash up. After my initial run-in with the crew and the rather unfriendly welcome from the captain, I had avoided leaving my room as much as possible the past few days, content to let Riona bring me meals and just generally fuss over my well-being. The headaches I have been having since my accident hadn't quite eased off, and the potions and balms that the medic have brought me are the only thing helping me to get any sleep. After receiving my music box that first night, I had the strangest dream. A faceless entity I had no memory of had visited me in my sleep, and her voice, soft but strong, gave me a new kind of hope. Since then, nothing else had surfaced. No memories, no voices, and I had kept the contents of that dream to myself. I have no idea who the woman is, lingering on the edges of my memories. Family, friend, or something else altogether. All I know is the sound of her voice made me feel something familiar, something safe and hopeful. I'd like to keep that feeling to myself for a little while longer. The crew has been welcoming for the most part, but I'm still not sure exactly who I should trust, or if I should trust any of them at all. I finished washing up in the bathroom, and after deciding I can't put it off any longer, I head to the bridge. The captain had told me to stay out of his way, and I had tried my best to, but I didn't exactly love the idea of being stuck in my room while we landed the ship. After having hit my head once already this week, I really don't need a repeat. Man, this is a struggle for some reason. Turning one of the many corridors, silently praying I haven't lost my way again, I almost bump into a figure coming out of one of the adjacent rooms while lost in thought. A surprised sound escapes me, and a moment later, I realize that my hands are pressed against a solid wall of muscle, preventing myself from colliding with the figure entirely. June! June chuckles and takes a step back, and I drop my hands awkwardly. Man, I love June. I love my cuties. Bash is also so nice. They're also nice, except for Calderon and Damon. But, you have to have variety. Good morning, 11. Sleep well? He waits for me to regain my composure before he continues heading toward the bridge, matching his steps with mine. Calderon wouldn't do that. Did I sleep well? What did in-game me say? That I got used to it? Wasn't there like a... I don't know, not at all. I barely got a decent few hours. I think someone must have slipped something under my mattress. It was all lumpy and uncomfortable. I pressed my fingers into my side, prodding over the muscles that had tightened uncomfortably during my restless sleep. June gives me a sympathetic smile. Mine's not any better, I'm afraid. Else I'd offered to trade rooms. Oh my goodness, why is he so... I couldn't have taken your room, June. I'm sure you have things in there that are private. That's what I think of. Honestly, apart from a few extra weapons, my room is just as bare as yours. That's kind of sad. Honestly. Oh. Don't look like that. I'm not a fan of clutter, that's all. We walk in silence for a while, and although it's comfortable enough, I still find myself searching for something to say. So, are you used to being woken up by Yame shouting through a speaker every morning? It certainly happens more often than it probably should, but I was already up. I don't sleep much. Insomnia? He slows, almost stopping completely as he gives me a thoughtful look. Something like that. His eyebrows dip, and I want to ask more, but something about his tone makes it clear that I shouldn't pry any further. So, how much do you know about Terranium? Not much, though I get the feeling it's not the most welcoming of planets. It has its ups and downs. I'll tell you a little about it if you'd like. I nod. The prospect of learning more about this place will be visiting. Too good to give up. Terranium is a desert planet. The water there comes from various oases. Is that how you spell oasis? Plural? Ooh, I didn't know. Various oases scattered across the surface, and the oases are largely controlled by the gangs and clans there. The planet's government, the Council of Embers, is negligent, corrupt. I fear that will only become worse now that Zobak sits on the throne of Goldis. There's something dark in June's voice when he says this, some deep-seated resentment poking its head through that calm composure. I now notice the rifle that's strapped to his back, and I wonder, with a small twinge of panic, how bad this place really is. Terranium has long been known for drugs, robotics, and arenas. That's how they make their money. We're headed to Nos Vega, their capital. It's not as savage as the smaller cities, but still, things can get wild, so be on your guard. We have a friend who owns property in the busier sector of the city. It's a great place for gathering intel and laying low. So that's what we're doing there? Gathering intel and laying low? Among other things. I'm sure you're aware of the damage to the cargo hold. We'll find the parts we need to patch it up, then scope the area for a general overview of the situation in Celiota after the coup. Then we'll make a decision on what to do next. Aya mentioned the crew was in some kind of mess. What did she mean by that? June makes a strange face, as if considering exactly how much he wants me to know. It wouldn't be fair to drag you into that. The less you know, the better. We enter the bridge to a buzz of activity. It's clearly all hands on deck up here. Calderon and Aya are seated in the cockpit, the pilot flicking switches and pulling levers while the captain barks at someone through the comm he holds in his hand. An awkward laugh crackles through the receiver from the other side, and I recognize the voice instantly. I gotta tell you, there's a lot of noise down here, Cap. We'll make it through the atmosphere in one piece, but I don't expect the outer cargo walls to hold up during landing. Just make sure airlocks 3 and 4 are sealed. The hold is already shredded. Nothing we can do about it now. Aye aye, Captain. Riona greets us with a smile from where she's buckling herself into one of the extra chairs, and when I feel a hand on my arm, I turn back to June. One more thing before we land. Just make sure you stay with one of us at all times, okay? Wouldn't want to lose you so soon after bringing you on board. Filling in the newbie on all the loot and lawless activities that go down in Las Vegas, are we, June? Damon's voice floats over to us from where he stands nearby, sheathing a pair of daggers into place on his thighs. June folds his arms over his chest, giving Damon a hard look. I'd rather not worry Eleven with the details so soon before landing. There's nothing to worry about, so long as we keep our heads down. Damon grins, his eyes trailing over June lazily, and a blade balanced between his fingers. Where's the fun in that? June rolls his eyes, unstrapping the rifle from his bag and fixing it to the back of one of the chairs before he sits to strap himself in. I watch the thick green substance sloshing around the chamber just beneath the barrel of his rifle, wondering what it is. Don't listen to Damon, 11. Last time we were here, all he did was skulk around in the shadows and drink that disgusting shrimp juice they sell at the Ark. It's not shrimp, it's krill, with a little blueberry and lemon juice. Don't knock it till you try it, cowboy. June makes a disgusted face, and I have to agree that the combination doesn't sound all that appealing. I'll pass. It's Damon's turn to roll his eyes, and as June settles into his seat, ending the conversation, he turns to me. He looks even more menacing than when we first met, though that may be because he's smiling at me in a way that leaves me unsure if he wants to stab me or seduce me. Why not both? My eyes flicker over the bandolier across his chest, the knives partly concealed by his coat, and the twin daggers he keeps strapped to his thighs. I wonder idly how he manages not to cut himself on all that steel, as I'm sure there's plenty more hidden where I can't see. Wanna do a strip search? What? Stop torturing 11, Damon. I don't know how it's possible, but Damon grins even wider, his head cocking to the side. In a moment, Trigger Happy, 11 and I have some business to conduct. I panic, my chest seizing while my mind ticks over what exactly he means by business. While I'm sure you had a conversation worthy of a perfectly pleasant brunch with June, I highly doubt the cowboy told you the half of what goes down on Terranium. So walk with me. I quickly realize he's not giving me a choice, and when he saunters over to a large control screen near the cockpit, I follow suit. Damon barely spares me a glance as his fingers fly over the screen, typing and scrolling through information I couldn't begin to piece together even if I wanted to. Think of Las Vegas like a giant sandbox, filled with loads of corrupted grains of sand. The kind of fun you'll find there isn't exactly legal, which means that it's the best kind. He throws me a knowing grin before his eyes snap back to the screens in front of him. Casinos, bars, arenas, strip clubs, brothels, mods, weapons, dealers, you name it, they've got it. I almost choke on air at the description of the planet, and when I part my lips to speak, no words come out. Calderon wanted to leave me in a place like that? See, now I don't want to do Calderon's route anymore. I know what you're thinking. What kind of man is the captain to ditch a lost, lonely traveler in a place like that? Am I right? How does he keep doing that? I don't reply, but I'm sure my slack-jawed, disbelieving stare tell Damon everything he wants to know. He chuckles a little, and I'm glad at least one of us is amused by the situation. That sounds dangerous. Wouldn't be fun if it wasn't. I bite down on my tongue to keep from answering. Oh. Wow, it's already been 30 minutes, and we're just getting to the good part. I really like the Terranium chapter, episode? Whatever you call it. I guess so into the game. I have to save. Let's see what's gonna be called. Episode 2. Buckle up. Well, it sucks that it sucks that I had to end before we get to Terranium, but I guess next episode or next part will be really fun because I really like the Terranium part of this story. Otome game? Visual novel? I don't know. Anyways, if you want to play it yourself, it's always available. Well, not always. It's available on itch.io and it's free technically, but you can always pay to support the creators/developers. I'll have the link down in the description if you want to play it yourselves and try a different route or, do the same route. But yeah, I think that's part 3. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.